right, my first guest tonight is, of course, the anchor of NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. He's also author of 3 best-selling Greatest Generation books, including the latest, An Album of Memories. Please welcome our good friend, Tom Brokaw.
Al, we trucked in all the Brokaws from South Dakota just to load up the audience here tonight.
I have to say, I think I've mentioned this before. That theme song is the greatest theme song I've ever heard. My theme song is like, and it doesn't inspire any kind of confidence at all. But yours, can we just cheer? Can you guys do it one more? Listen to this. This is... I bet, and I might be wrong, but I bet you have that on your Walkman and you walk around
There was once a
buying fruits.
disc jockey in Philadelphia who played that, and then they had lyrics to it as well, that he started his career in Omaha. I don't think that that's what they had in mind.
That would be great if it became a 40-minute song at the top of the news, right. And you were just trying to find out what's going on in the world, but you had to listen to, then he came to New York City. And it showed you, they should show you flying as sort of, have they thought of doing that?
No, they just put a little kryptonite on the desk, and that's it.
I think that would be a great, I think that would just, there wouldn't be any competition after that. If it started with you.
Is there some now?
Oh, Tom. I'm sure that, they tell me occasionally there are other networks, but I don't pay attention. But just you flying at the top of the news and then landing on a meteor, and then it dissolves into your face behind the set and you start the news. That would be so cool.
There are probably people in the NBC promotion department right now working that up.
Doing that. You are, I don't mean to creep you out, and I mean this in a platonic way, but you are in terrific shape. You take good care of yourself.
I do. You know, I'm an aging anchorman. I have to work very hard at staying in condition. Sometimes there are hazards to it. I like to ride a bike. I bought a very expensive new bicycle recently, and on a rainy day, I made a mistake. It's one of these racing bikes. And
so banana seat, streamers on the...
Yeah, right. Got the whole picture. Right.
Yeah. I'm picturing you right now.
Right. I got the cutoffs and the whole thing.
You had some kittens in the basket up front.
And I pitch them out as I go along.
Oh. You know what's amazing? You can get away with the mean stuff. I can't. You're throwing cats, and people are like, yay, Tom Brokaw.
At any rate, I was riding my bike on a rainy day, which I should not have been because it was raining fairly hard, and I went up this very steep hill, paved hill, and then decided I'd turn around and ride back down it, and the hill led to a pretty busy 2-lane highway. It was, and I started to apply the brakes, the front wheel and back wheel, and I simply was hydroplaning down that road. There was no braking going on whatsoever, and you have almost no time to respond. I'm thinking, do I tip it over here and crack my head here, or do I just do it down later on the highway?
Right.
And I could see through the trees a car coming up the highway, and thank God it could see me. I had a red jacket on, and he said he could spotted me later, this madman careening down the road. And I simply went straight down across the highway, and there was this big guardrail, and I thought, this is going to hurt. And I hit it head on and pitched out of it into the woods and landed on my back. And the man came wide-eyed looking out over the thing there, and my little helmet pulled down on my nose. And
You had the helmet, and would you have goggles or glasses?
I got up, I had my glasses, and I got up, and I said, my God, I'm okay. And he said, it's not possible. And in fact, I was okay, and took the broken bike, put it in the back of his van. He drove me home.
What I will love is the moment when he said, are you okay? And you took off your helmet and glasses. He saw it was you, and your theme song started to play. Of course I'm okay. Thanks, citizen. Goodbye, Mr. Brokaw.
You can be my Jimmy Olsen.
That'd be great. I would be a good. I would get a little bow tie and, gee, Mr. Brokaw. You're an adventurous person. I know you're an athlete. You love to you like to get out there. You sometimes take chances. You've flown in fighter planes as part of your job.
I flew in an F-15 the first time, and it went well. We did mock dogfights out over the Atlantic Ocean, and so the Air Force said, well, let's see how you do in an F-16. I think they were really trying to see if they could make me sick, and they came very close.
Which is, some fighter pilots, they want to do that. It's like a point of pride to make the guy in the back seat.
Right, and I went down and flew F-15s and F-16s in Florida on low-level mock bombing missions, and I was doing real well, but it was very hot because the sun was coming through the canopy, and we'd fly like 400 feet off the deck, you know, at the speed of sound practically, and then do these, what they call pop-ups, and then go back down on the target. And at one point when he was doing a pop-up, I had leaned forward to hit a switch of some kind. And of course, the G-forces kept me there. And so for the next several days, I walked around like Quasimodo on the news. Good evening.
I remember seeing the news that night. Hello. Wait a minute. What switches are they allowing you to throw? I was firing retro rockets. Don't be throwing switches.
Took out Daytona Beach and like that.
You know, I want to change speeds here for just a second because I want to mention this. Of course, yesterday, Timothy McVeigh was executed, and a lot of people are upset because he was so enigmatic in the way that he died. He was so mysterious. A lot of the victims' families didn't feel like they understood still why he did what he did. We may never know. You actually met the man and interviewed him.
Turns out I met him a couple of times. I met him the first time in Iraq, was not aware of it. He was a soldier, and he was assigned to Schwarzkopf's security detail. And I had gone up to cover the surrender ceremonies, and it was a very remote outpost. And I had a satellite phone and some other things, and there were these young soldiers around, men and women. And after I checked in with NBC and made all of our arrangements, I said to them, any of you want to call home? So they could just use our phone and call home. And then we all had our picture taken together.
So you had your picture taken with McVeigh when he was a soldier.
And I went to see him later. I was negotiating for an interview, like a lot of other people were, at a jail cell in Colorado when he's being held at one of the maximum security cells. The first thing he said to me, I said, I gather we've met before, because his lawyer told me that. Right. He said, yeah. He said, the FBI's got the picture of the two of us together. They confiscated it when they took my things. He said, we met that day, and your assistant gave me some film and so on. And so we sat there in the jail cell and talked that day. And
did you get a sense of him? Like,
I did, actually. I don't understand it yet. I mean, right. I think that he at some point went over the edge, obviously. We know that. But I don't know what it had to be more than Waco that drove him so far over the edge. And then he got himself into a psychological framework in which he was the warrior against the United States. And he stayed in that until he drew his last breath. You know, I'm the master of my fate and all that.
Because your sense of him is that he was not a raving lunatic. He was not. No. He was. If you didn't know what he had done and you met him, what would your take?
Well, the line I used when I came back and said that I said, if you met him on the street, you think he's the assistant manager of a large supermarket who's moving up in the chain. That this guy really is
competent.
You know, he's a bright young guy. And he was very articulate. At one point, I said, you know, I'm proposing a symbiotic relationship here, and I didn't use the word deliberately to try to trap him, but as soon as I said, I thought, well, let's see how you... And he said, you're the first one to be honest about that, Mr. Brokaw. It is symbiosis. That you're going to use me, and I'm going to use you. Right. He understood that perfectly. He was quite charming in the confines of the cell. We were there with his lawyer, and we all assumed at that point that he, in fact, was the guilty party. It was sometime before the trial began.
Yeah.
He didn't let on any of that. He was very cunning. Right. In a kind of open way about what he was attempting to do to try to win us over.
I think it would have been a lot more comforting to a lot of people if he had been overtly a monster, and then they could have just said, "Oh,
well,
he's
just..." Defied all of our stereotypes. I mean, when I was in Oklahoma City when they caught him, and you know they thought there was an Arab terrorist who were involved, and when they began to talk about militia, they thought it would be some bearded, heavily tattooed guy with a leather vest, and then out walks homegrown Timothy McVeigh,
who served in the Gulf War,
articulate and the whole thing.
Very strange.
It was a very difficult passage for us.
I also want to mention Album of Memories. This is the third and final Greatest Generation book, and it's been a terrific and amazing series. And the money from this book is going where?
All my proceeds, not Random House's. They're going to keep their share, but my.
Thank you, Random House.
All the proceeds that I will gain from this book are going to the World War II Memorial for the establishment of a website so that buddies can find buddies, that children and grandchildren can find out what happened to their father's outfits, and it'll be a kind of permanent reunion site, we hope, and I'm quite excited about it.
Well, as I say again, this has been an amazing series, and it's done a lot for that generation, and congratulations on all the success.
Thank you, Conan. It's been the most gratifying thing that I've done in my professional career, with the sole exception, of course, of my appearances on your broadcast.
Thank you very much. Nicely said. Tom Brokaw, thank you very much. Always great to have you. Excellent, as always. Mark Maron, very funny guy coming up. We'll take a break. We'll be back.